Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon what time you're watching this. It's Keith, and I wanted to talk a little bit today. I'm going to change my screen here. Here we go. Want to talk a little bit today about networking and job networking and how to have a great job networking conversation with somebody. I do some career coaching through a local career ministry called Career Quest. Great group of people. And one thing I've learned as long as I've been working with them is that people seem to have trouble with networking conversations and getting out of these conversations what they need to, really what the goal is of the conversation, and that is more intros, more names of more people. Uh, what I find happens is that frequently people are having a one-way conversation, telling others what they're looking for, but they're not looking for anything else from the other person, or they're sort of not making it easy for the other person to help them. So the purpose of this talk is to dive into networking conversations and how to have them, whether it's on Zoom or eventually back in person, and what you can do to prepare for them, and make sure, again, that you get the most out of them. And the goal of any networking conversation is, guess what? To get two more names. That is it. You want to get two more names out of any conversation you have with somebody. Why? Because the more people who know that you are looking for a new role, the more people can potentially help you. And so you need to tell people and you need to get from them names of folks who are at the types of companies that you're looking at, or that are just great networkers and would be willing to have a call with you. So let's start at the beginning. You are about to connect with somebody, and they are expecting to have a Zoom call with you, probably, or a phone call. And you're getting ready for this call. You've already been introduced to them. What you want to give them is not a copy of your resume, but something called a job search marketing plan. You can Google these online. I have a copy of one here. If you want it, just drop me a message, a LinkedIn message, or however, and I'll send you a copy of it. This one has a little space to put your photo. Don't worry about that. It's not as important. But the difference between a job search marketing plan, and this is just good for you to have anyway, and a resume is that a resume is backward looking. A resume is all about what you've done. And it's very tough for people who look at resumes who aren't in the field that you're in to understand that. And you might be networking, you are going to be networking with a lot of people in different fields. People who are friends of friends and are neighbors of friends and things like that. So you want to make it easy for them to help you and to give you those two or more names to add to your list of contacts. So before you meet with anybody, I would put together this job search marketing plan. And what it has in here, it has different sections about just a little bit about a paragraph about you, some of your qualities as a person and as an employee, responsibilities you've had, just bullet points. Again, it's not a resume, but also, and here's the important part. These are the two things that are most important. Actually, the three. One is, actually, there's four. It just hit me. There's a fourth one. The titles of the jobs that you're looking for. What are some of the different titles that somebody should keep their eye out for? So you have to know this yourself if you're going to put it down here. If you haven't done this homework, you can't put it on here. So make sure you know some of the different titles that you're looking for, and also put down the names of the typical hiring managers for those titles. Why? So if somebody sees it on here and they go, oh, I've got a neighbor, I've got a cousin, I've got a friend, and he's a manager of a plant, and you're looking for plant managers. That's why you need to know that. Who do you want to talk to, and what are the typical titles that you would be hired to do? That's it. The third thing is, what are the types of companies and what do those companies have in common? So if you're looking to work at companies who are in manufacturing, for instance, or in financial services, some of the things they might have in common is number of employees, revenue, where their headquarters are, regional headquarters, any of a number of different things. I'm looking at this list here: location, industries, company size, organizational culture. Great attribute. I realize that people won't always know that who you're talking to, but it's a great thing to put down here. Is if you can articulate what the organizational culture is that you're looking for, that might also help people that you're networking with. And then, after you know what makes up the attributes of those companies, have a list of companies that you want to target. And you should have at least 50 of them. There's here maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's maybe 25, 30 here. I mean, I would go 50 or 100. You can fill up the back of this page with those. And again, the more names you have, the more someone might see something where they know someone and they might be able to help you. Okay, so now you've got this, and you're sitting down on Zoom, or hopefully, 1 year soon at a Starbucks, and you're having this conversation with your new contact, the person who said they'd meet you. My recommendation would be get them talking first about them. Just say you're happy to meet them, and however you came to meet them, you appreciate the introduction from your common contact that you have, and just ask them, what they do and how they like it and how do they get into that. Just get them talking about themselves and be really interested. The reason I want you to start them talking about themselves is because eventually they're going to say, well, gosh, I've been talking a lot here. Tell me about you. They're going to feel like they've been using up all the time and they want to reciprocate and learn about you. So you want to get them talking first. The next thing you want to do then, they're going to say to you, well, tell me about you. And you're going to say, well, I've been in this field or that field, and I'm looking for something new right now. And I've got this piece of paper, my marketing plan, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it. What do you think about it? And maybe some people who would be great contacts based on what's on here. And so you give it to them, and they start looking at it. And you just sit quietly. Do not feel the need to fill in the dead air. Okay, let them soak in the information. And then at some point, when they say something or they ask a question, or you kind of get the sense that they're done reading it, you might ask them, do you happen to know anybody at any of these companies that you think would be a good contact for me? And they might or they might not. Okay. You might ask them then, is there any company that, based on my characteristics here, my criteria, any companies that you think should be on the list that are not on the list? They might go, well, I heard about so-and-so company, and they might say to add something to the list. That would be great. Oh, do you know anybody who's at that company? That's the next question. No, you don't, they might say. Okay. Do you know anybody who has any of these hiring titles? They may or they may not. So now you've kind of got 3 times you've given them a chance to come up with something. If they've given you a bunch of names already, you might want to just kind of let it go there and just thank them very much and ask them, what is it that you could do for them to repay the favor or pay it forward for them. If they haven't really come up with anything, and each time you ask them, what is it that, what do they know, or do they know anybody? Let it sit for a second. Let them think about it. I know it's going to be kind of like an uncomfortable silence, but let the person sit there and think about it. Oh, my mail is still clicking. I thought I turned it off. Let me turn that off here. Okay. All right. Now we're back. Anyway, so the last question, if you haven't gotten more than 1 or 2 names, the last question I would ask them is there anybody that you know who, regardless of who they are or what they do, they seem to be just a really good networker, and they're kind of open to meeting people and just having a conversation, just like you and I are having. Anyone that you know that you can think of who would be like that. And that's usually good for 1 or 2 people. So now you're at the end of the meeting and you've got your list of people. And what I would do and then your other person, let me back up. Your other person is going to say there, who you're sitting across from, is going to say, well, let me make these introductions for you. And you might go, oh, great, thank you. The problem I found is that the other person doesn't know what to say about you and how to say it in a way that doesn't set up too much or spoil what the purpose for your next meeting is with these new contacts. I once had somebody years ago do an introduction for me when I was looking for a new job, and they said, hey, let me introduce you to Keith. He's looking for a new job, and I told him you could help him. And he copied me on the intro, and as soon as I read it, the blood drained from my face. That was the worst intro ever. So you want to set up the meeting in the introduction the right way, which means giving as little information as possible to the new contact and just setting it up as just a networking meeting. Do not send this other person your contact, your networking sheet in advance. Do not send your resume. All you have to do, and you can send this message to the person you're sitting across the table from as a little blurb, and just say, hey, thanks for the meeting today. As I mentioned, here's the intro that you can use to introduce me to Sally. And feel free to edit as desired. And just copy me on whatever you send, and I'll take it from there. That's what I've typically said to people. And then what the email says, the quoted copy is something like, hey, Sally, I was having breakfast today, or was having a Zoom meeting today with Keith, and it hit me that I think you guys might be great contacts for each other. I'll let him tell you more, but I wanted to make the introduction. That is it. They don't need your life history. They don't need anything else. If you want to add, he's a longtime resident, whatever it is, or if there's a similarity between you two, he's also an avid biker, or he's also a triathlete, something like that would be really good to add. But don't get into he's looking for a job or anything like that, because when people hear that you're looking for a job, they have a tendency to put up their defenses because they think they're going to get hit up, even if you're just going to have a conversation. So just set up the meeting as being about having a conversation, just networking, and that's all it is. And what I would do is, at the beginning of the Zoom, if you're going to be doing this in Zoom, and it looks like we're going to be doing that for a while, send them this once you start talking. Once it comes time for you to talk, send it to them and have them then look at it. Don't send it before the meeting starts. Don't send it at the beginning. Just say, oh, I've got something I'd like to send you, and I'd love to get your idea on it. Let me just send it to you right here while we're talking, and I'll let you print it out or take a look at it. That's all you need to do. And then you're going to have, when you get together with Sally, you're going to have the same conversation, go over the same sheet, do the same thing. And at the end, you're going to send her the same blurb, the same intro blurb. And you might even say, this is what I sent to Joe to do our intro. If it looks familiar, ha, ha, ha. You could do something like that. So anyway, that's what I would do when you want to have these networking conversations. You want to go beyond just telling somebody that you're looking for a job. Make it easy for them to help you, and you help make it easy for them to help you by giving them as much information on what you're looking for. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope your job search is quick and you find what's in your heart, and that becomes something that you really enjoy. So thanks for listening, and look forward to talking with you soon. Reach out if you have any questions. Bye-bye.